Hi, I'm Scott Morris, and the piece I just played was the third movement from the Piccadilly Importunus by Eric Satie, the eccentric early 20th century French composer whose music I've become really fond of over the last year and a half or so. And so I arranged that from a little piano piece that he wrote. And I played it for you today as a way to talk about legato and staccato articulations in your playing. So one more tool here that you can use for expressive reasons. And the first thing I want to do is just kind of talk about the difference between staccato and legato. You probably know the difference, but I want to talk about different ways to think about those technically, and then give you a couple little exercises to practice, and then we'll break down just a couple of little measures here from the Satie piece, which is also in my book, Classical Guitar Complete from Basics to Bach. This is volume 2, where we get a little bit more into concepts of musicality and phrasing and different color options and some different techniques, things like that. So the first thing I want to do is just talk about the difference between staccato and legato. So staccato is usually just defined as a note played with a very short articulation there, as opposed to legato, which is going to be a note with very little space from one note to the next. So, if I were to play, say, like a C major scale and play it staccato, you get something like that. If I play legato, okay, so staccato, legato. These are important things to use when you're playing your pieces, because if you play every note the same all the time, it's not so interesting. So I'd first like to just talk about different ways to play staccato. There are basically two. There's a left-hand staccato and there's a right-hand staccato. And let me demonstrate the left-hand staccato first, because I think that one's the easiest for most people to get right away. So I'll just take on the 5th fret, 1st string here. Those 4 notes, there's a little ascending, 1, 2, 3, 4 there. A left-hand staccato is pretty easy to do because you hold the note down and then you simply relax your finger, and you relax it, fairly quickly. So you get something like, you gotta watch out for things like sympathetic vibration there, but. So I play and I just relax. Now here's the important thing to remember. You don't want to play and then lift your finger up really quick, flick it up. A lot of people do that, let go of the note like that. Because like you just heard, you get little noisy things after. The other thing is it's not a very efficient left-hand move. The way I like to think of it is, you press down just hard enough to hold the string to the fret, and then you just stop pushing. So, you apply pressure and then you just immediately stop applying pressure. So it's not lifting the finger, which is what, a lot of people do. You just stop pressing, and that requires really no work. It requires some practice to be able to do it quickly, but it doesn't take really any effort to just stop pressing. As a matter of fact, it's a relaxation. I really like to practice, left hand staccatos there. With students, also as a way to kind of lighten up their hand. You get some players, they just like bear down with their fingers on the fretboard, and I know they're trying to break through the fretboard there with their fingertips. And you really just want to lighten it up. So play, relax, play, relax. It's a great way to sort of loosen up the right hand. So that's your basic left hand staccato there. Now the right hand staccato, which takes a little bit more work for most people, has to do with planting the fingers. There I am again on the controversial subject of planting. But here it's for artistic effect rather than just technical practice. So what I'm doing here is just basically this. So let's say I'm doing like an I, A, alternation there. As soon as I pluck the string with the I finger, I immediately put down the A finger. I don't pluck, I just put it down. That stops the string. And then when I pluck with A, my first finger or my I finger goes down, and that stops the string. So it kind of looks like that as opposed to like that if you're doing, say, legato. So, and this is great because you can really control that. Get nice, real clean articulations there with that. Now, what I do a lot of the time is I use a combination of both. For instance, I'm using right hand and left hand staccatos at the same time to get a really clean sound. Because as you heard earlier when I was just demonstrating pure left hand staccatos, for instance, if you play like an E or an A or a B or a D or something like that, one of the open strings, kind of common harmonic notes like this. Hear that note ringing? That's right there. That's sympathetic vibration on the 5th string. It's really annoying. You get the same thing. Hear that note ringing there? That's not the one I plucked. That's a different string that's set, into sympathetic vibration just from playing another note. So, you get a lot of ringing, things like that if you only do it with that hand. So, using the other hand to help dampen can really clean things up. Also, when you play a scale, it's like when I'm playing C major descending. So I'm planting immediately over there, but I'm also relaxing the finger over here. Relaxing the 3rd finger, relaxing the 1st. There's that sympathetic vibration again right there on the 4th string. As I move down, if I do both, again, it's much, much cleaner. Or legato. One of the exercises in Volume 2 of Classical Guitar Complete is to play scales where you're alternating back and forth between legato or even tenuto and staccato. So like, stuff like that. So you can really control the different notes there. Okay, so now that we've talked a little bit about how to play staccato, legato is a little bit easier to talk about. It's not easier to do, it's easier to talk about for sure. Legato, as I said, defined really by as little space between the notes as possible. So you really should have them kind of blend one into the next there. The thing I like to think about here is something I got in a masterclass with David Russell a long time ago, which was just wait until it's almost too late and then go to the next note. This applies to shifting as well. And both staccato and legato require really good synchronization between the two hands. So those are the things you want to practice and think about when you're practicing legato and staccato. Now this piece, this little Satie piece, is so difficult because what's going on here is the melody jumps from the top line to the bottom line and then kind of back and forth. And you've got one section, the little accompaniment, that's always staccato, and then you've got this legato melody, sometimes in the bass, sometimes in the top. It's easier to do if you're playing piano, but on the guitar, it's pretty tough. So let me just play a little bit of the beginning here, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so there you have the first 4 measures, and here's what's going on. So we've got this melody in the bass, okay, and then on top of that, you're playing, this little, you get the little harmony in there as well. But you then have to play that more legato, so you get. So you have to control the top 2 notes, and I'm using right hand staccatos here, so I'm just plucking and immediately going back and planting on the strings and then waiting, and then at the same time letting the notes in the bass ring out. So I'm controlling the articulation difference between the two there. And then, you know, we move to the next middle bit. We have, so here we have the staccatos move to the bottom, and then on top, oops, that little guy on top there. So, you know, playing the melody on top, legato, so I just play and then I wait. And then the bottom two voices, I'm plucking and then stopping right away. So, you know, there you have, just in the first four measures, kind of the gist of technically what you need to do throughout the piece, which is always identify where the staccato lines are, where the legato lines are, and make sure you're doing the right thing with your hands to bring that out. And it's always jumping around. It's really, really challenging. It seems like an easy little piece, you know, just this. You know, and I guess on piano it is. But you know, if you do it right here and you follow these articulations, by the way, they're not my articulation markings, they're Satie's. So you know, this is something he was going for with this piece. Then it's really challenging, but I think a really charming little piece as well. So, you know, take a look at this. It's on page 39 of Volume 2, Classical Guitar Complete. And then just before that, you have a couple pages of exercises on legato, staccato, tenuto, the different articulations, and how you can play those in the most efficient and effective way possible. So, hope you got something out of this, and I'll see you soon.